Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Fourtress Finest. This is a spin-off podcast where me and Devin is also here. Right now we're breaking down the Rings of Power show on Amazon, and with this episode we are going through episode 6, Udûn.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
oh boy, there is a lot. There's a lot to going on with
What
this one, dude.
what an ending.
Oh man, like they, oh,
Best
just
best episode
wow.
so far?
Yes. Hell yes.
Other than the first one, I think it's the best episode so far.
Just because I still think, I mean, the first one, yes, but I really enjoyed the third episode. But this one, I think, oh, it's hard to top this one. This one was like, okay, I think this one was like a reward for our patience because like
Yeah.
they did a lot of world building. They did a lot of
Mhm.
like we haven't seen an action sequence. I feel like since the Arondir was captured in what episode 2 with
Mhm.
the and
Mhm.
stuff, and then they were just like, all right, here you go, and then some.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
we'll get into it. So obvious spoilers right off the top, listeners. Spoilers for obviously this episode, every previous episode, the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies. Any book events that happened prior to this show. We will not dig into the any spoiler stuff, unless it's a segmented section towards the end. Which I think we'll probably just since this is all kind of one plot line, we'll just save all of the spoiler prediction stuff towards to the very end. Since this all kind of singles out into one storyline.
Mhm.
So just be aware that listeners check the time codes. So yeah, we'll try to start at the beginning, I guess, because even though the ending was nuts. So it starts with Adar
Mhm.
and all the Uruks, just chanting, hanging out. I had to look up what Nampat meant, and I couldn't find a direct definition. But apparently it might be like a kind of like a participle of words like Durbat, Gimbat, Thralcat, and Crimpat, which are means for ruling, finding, bringing, binding. So it's just kind of like
Mm.
a way to conjugate a verb or type of thing. I don't know exactly what it means, but you know,
Interesting.
it's all darkness shit. So
Yeah. Just orcs being orcs. Doesn't really ever matter
yeah,
what they're saying.
yeah. But I did like that opening action sequence with Arondir. He got to show off some smartness.
Bro, that plan was so smart. My only
Yeah.
question is how the fuck did they sneak around? But, like, that was so dang smart, though. Like, yeah, just let them in. I mean, hey, classic ambush strategy, right? And, when you have an elf that can shoot a crow's eye at 100 yards,
That was amazing.
you can
Yeah.
do stuff like that.
That was one of the examples of like they did a good job showing off his elfness, like
Mhm,
some skill with him like that. And then the way he maneuvered and just kicked that rock to lock the door.
mhm,
I love that whole like that that was such a sick move.
right.
And then they're just trapped in there.
And I love, like, it killed all the like, the whole tower collapsed and, like, took out all the orcs coming up the hills and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, that took out the whole army." And then it's like, "Oh, yeah, there's definitely
Right.
still a whole army of orcs left." It's like, "But we killed all of them. Like, they're all dead.
Right.
Like, they all just
It's like
died."
it really did seem like they didn't kill many afterwards.
Mhm.
It's
But
like,
man,
"Oh, okay."
that shot of them coming over the hill too in the village, like, with all like, one torch and then another one and
At a
then another one,
time.
that was kinda cool.
Yeah, that was sick.
And struck me as kind of very Tolkien-y, I don't know why, but, like, it just reminds me of, like, something from the books or something, like, it's just I don't know, like,
Hmm.
just some fire lights of, like, an enemy army. It just seems very
I mean, it's terrifying how it just yeah,
Mhm.
starts off, it's like, "Oh, there's only one left. We're good, guys." And then it's
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, fuck. We're so screwed."
Yeah.
Yeah, the only Numenor-ish scene we got earlier, real quick, jumping to them, was, Isildur gets to meet Galadriel, which I thought that was a kind of a nice like a calm before the storm type of setting
Mhm.
where, she tells him that she can see land, but you won't see land for about another hour.
Mhm.
I kinda thought that was a really interesting thing that, again, showing off that the elves are, they're special. They're special
Mhm.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've been playing around with that this season a lot because like Elrond at one point
Mhm.
used the elf sight to like see what
Yeah.
Disa and Durin were talking about. So I guess the elves can always see farther than men can, or dwarves,
Right.
whatever. But it's cool. It's cool to see them actually use that a little bit.
Yeah. One thing that was not cool was Isildur eating the same apple that he just fed his horse
Yeah,
to.
that was
That was That was gross. I get that you're bonding with your horse, but that's unsanitary.
Yeah, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Just give him the whole apple. It's a horse.
Right. Um, so Arondir's trying to break this dagger, this evil, evil dagger,
Mhm.
and then he can't. So he's like, I'm just gonna hide it where no one else can find it. That'll come into play later, where I wondered, okay, so you because he says, I'm not even gonna tell you, Bronwyn, the woman I love.
And then he instantly just goes right into the house and hides it under a stone where everybody's getting ready for a battle. Like, bro,
I'm
what?
like, how? Yeah. So when Theo's like, it's here, I was like, wait, what the hell are you talking about?
Like, bro, go throw it into a lake
That
or
was a
up in a
terrible
tree.
plan. That was a terrible
I
plan.
bet he's an elf, right? Just go give it to one of the trees and be like, "Hey, keep this in your roots." And like it just like
Right.
puts it, under the roots or
Yeah.
something. But like,
I will say though, there has been a lot of nature love where I kind of like where they're talking
yeah.
about the seeds,
Mhm.
which I
Mhm.
which you don't understand what Adar is doing in the beginning until later they give it context retroactively, with the whole planting a seed before a battle, and then so I thought that was kind of interesting that both sides were doing that in a
Mhm.
sense because Adar, it despite how poisoned his mind is and how twisted he is, he's an elf at
Yeah,
heart
still
still,
kind of an elf. Yeah.
so I
But yeah,
thought
I
that was
mean,
interesting.
I don't know, bad hiding spot, man. Like
Terrible.
it is just nice that Sauron just builds into all of his tools. Like, can't break it with mortal weapons. Like, can't break it
Right.
with a hammer, can't break it with an axe, can't burn it, can't destroy it,
Can
can't pull it
only
apart.
can only destroy it in one very specific location or with one very specific weapon.
Right, or not at all. But either way, whenever
Or
I make
not.
something, it is durable. All right, like
Yeah.
you're gonna have max durability. No warranty needed on any of Sauron's tools.
Yeah. Sauron needs to open up like a Lowe's, a
Yeah.
hardware store, a Middle Earth hardware
Listen,
store.
man, instead of trying to dominate all of Middle Earth, why don't you just open up some very durable tool sets and
I
just
mean,
make a
Adar
killing?
did say later in the episode that all Sauron after Morgoth was gone, he was just gonna heal Middle Earth. Maybe that's the way he heals Middle Earth. He
There you
just,
go. Everybody
builds
needs a
it
good
back
power
up.
drill that won't break. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
The one place that this drill will break is the place that I made it, the forge that I made it in Mount Doom.
Right.
uh,
Um, Speaking of Arondir and them, I swear for as soon as he kissed Bronwyn, I was like, one of them is fucked.
I
One of
know,
them is
I
dead.
know.
I was so surprised they survived this whole
Listen,
episode.
Bronwyn, she somehow survived like every cliche moment in this
Yeah.
episode.
Her fake out death was didn't work for me really. When she passes out and they're like, "Oh
No,
no."
that's what I'm
That didn't
saying.
quite work for me.
And
Yeah.
like before that, when she saves him from that big orc, and like she's kind of like sitting there,
Right.
there's like that pause. It's like arrow, like knife, like something, right? Like
Yeah.
because like it kind of lingered, and then it just didn't. Like she didn't get stabbed, and I was like, that's new. And then they cut to her like when her arrow thing, they cut to her like 3 times. It's like, okay, is she dead or what? Like,
Right. Yeah. That one that lingered a little too long. I was like, I come on. All right, at this point, I know she's not dead. Like it's
yeah,
been so
but
long.
then she didn't come back yet, and I'm like, is she dead or what? Like, and then
Right.
they cut to it to like a third or fourth time. You're like, bro, yes or no? Like, just give me some
Right.
clarity.
Come on. But speaking of Bronwyn, she 1,000% got that one lady killed at the very
Oh my
beginning.
god, yeah.
When she attacks that orc just turned and slit the other lady's throat. I was like,
Ooh,
what the hell?
yeah, that was rough. That was really
That
rough.
was, dude, this was like dark shit in this
Yeah,
episode.
slaughtering
Like later
civilians, man.
on, when Adar's got them all locked up and they're just slowly they're not even like quick kills. They're
Yeah, they're
just
just like
slowly
slowly
stabbing
stabbing
all of these
people.
people.
Yeah, that was weird. It like one orc does it, it's like, okay, whatever, that's just weird. And then another orc does it the same exact way, and you're like, why y'all doing that? Like,
It's it's rough to watch. I was like, "Oh, this is kinda some dark shit." Like,
yeah.
but
I
I mean,
wonder
it
how
worked.
many of those civilians around there would be okay with them killing until they threaten Bronwyn, you know?
Right,
Like,
right,
would they have killed everybody in the room, and it's like Bronwyn and Theo are the only ones left? It's like, okay, now I'll tell you. Like,
right. Ronda's like, "You can kill her, him, her, that one over there. Yeah, fuck
you
that
can kill
guy."
all of them, honestly. I don't care. But yeah,
Yeah.
but how did Theo know where it was hidden?
That's what I'm saying. I guess, like, Arondir told him because he said if he didn't even trust to tell Bronwyn that.
I think Theo must have just like like
Maybe he's
watched him
spying?
kind of like in a Gollum kind of way where he's like, "Oh,
Right.
I like that thing and I want to know
I
where it's
mean, that
going."
thing, yeah, is very his precious, so, yeah, it makes
They
sense.
don't really explain it, but and
Yeah.
then when they talk about it later, it's like all they talk about is like, "Oh yeah, you know, I would have done the same thing in your shoes of like giving up our location, like of the."
Right.
It's like not like, "Why
Yeah.
the fuck did you watch me hide it, boy?" Like
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I don't know, so that was weird. I wasn't sure about that one.
yeah,
But before that, the actual fight, I thought the Arondir versus the Big Orc was okay. I thought there were some coolish moments. I thought there was
hmm
some weirdish, like, motion blurry where they're trying to really show the orc's strength of throwing him across the room. There was some
hmm
weird effect there. I don't know what it was. But other than that, I thought it was cool. I love that Arondir loves killing dudes with the tiniest sticks in the
Oh
world.
my god, this is all he does. Just give me a splinter and I'll kill them.
Right?
Also, he was like Shang-Chi in that guy. Like he was like doing some kung fu fighting there for a second. I was like,
He did
bro,
like a roundhouse at one point.
I, he's
I did
like,
not
yo,
expect that.
not only am I master of sword and archery, but I also studied a black belt. Like,
Right.
what? Also, that orc, like, it's kind of cool how big and strong that orc was.
Yeah.
I guess maybe that's kind of a cool theme of the second age here, but um,
Yeah.
because I guess in the original trilogy, the Urukai are pretty strong. Like, I feel like they're definitely kind of on that level, but regular
Yeah.
orcs just seem like they're kind of weak. But
Right. I mean, like, Lurtz throws Aragorn around,
yeah,
quite a bit.
yeah,
So, yeah,
definitely,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
But, uh, he definitely ate and swallowed a lot of that orc's eye blood. That was pretty gross. That was
Yeah.
pretty disgusting.
My girlfriend asked me, like, "Is he gonna turn into an orc now?" I was like, "I don't think that's how it works, but maybe."
It's like a zombie.
But if it is how it works, then he's
Or a
definitely gonna turn
vampire.
into
It's funny.
no ambiguity there. It was kind of a
Yeah.
cool visual too of, like, the black blood falling on him, but I don't know.
Yeah, and the splinter, like, nearly getting into his eye. I was like,
Oof.
"Oh, oof." Yeah, that was
They love
rough.
fighting around that well, man. That well has just been so
I
important.
thought one of them was gonna end up in the well. I was like, "Throw someone
Somebody.
down the well, please."
Yeah, somebody. But anyway,
Um, at first, I was so surprised that they won.
yeah.
Like, after that, like, one-on-one fight, they win. I was like, "Really? The fuck?" But then the twist, the reveal that
Mhm.
and I was like, that they're fighting men. They're fighting the other
Yeah, some of
villages
them,
that
but, like,
sided
there were
with
some orcs in
Hadar.
there, and some of the men
There
were
was
in
a
there,
few, obviously, but
so I get it.
it makes it like, I was completely 100% okay with it after that because I was like, "Okay, if they're fighting people on their own level, it makes sense that they could win that fight."
Right.
There's no way they would win if they were all orcs. There's no fucking way.
Right, right.
So, I was like, "Okay, that actually makes sense story-wise now."
Yeah. Also, the whole plan in general is like instead of dipping, they're like, "No, we're gonna defend this shitty village." It's like, you can't defend this village from an army of orcs. Like, what are you talking? Well, we're gonna light some wagons on fire, and then we'll pen them in.
Although, for a second, that plan of, like, pinning them in there was kinda
It
smart
was
and
a
just
good
shooting
plan,
down at them.
but
Yeah.
also you. And then they're like, "This little tavern is gonna be our keep, our castle." It's like this thing has a thatched roof, man. Like this ain't gonna.
Yeah.
After approximately 8 seconds of siege and battering rams, the doors caved in. Okay, like you can't defend this place.
I was genuinely waiting for Adar to just set that whole building on fire, and
Yes,
then
yes.
that's what I was, like, waiting for
Why
it.
would you not? It has a hay roof. Just shoot one fire arrow on that, and they're all dead.
I mean, I guess if he's trying to find the dagger, I guess it makes sense, but I was like, "Okay."
But that was just awkward how they like did the battering ram on the door, and then they just kind of step inside, like, "Hi, like
Right.
it's us,
"What's
the
up?
orcs,
What's going on?"
the ones that have been trying to kill you." It's like, all right, we're all just gonna stand here awkwardly now. Like, I don't know. That was kind of a goofy
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. But in the middle of that, goddamn, that shot of Numenor coming with the cavalry charge and the sunlight behind them. Which one? Interesting choice to show that, like, and not just, like, make that part of their reveal later as, like, a big moment. Because like, when they come in later, it's like, we knew they were coming, so it wasn't
hmm
quite as big, but I mean, I still dug the
Well, that's
hell out of
that's
that shot. It looked
okay.
cool.
That's my only problem with this episode, and maybe the show in general. Because like, I think I've been realizing and kind of coming to terms with this last week that like this show is human, right? Like it's made by people. The original trilogy was not made by people, all right? It was made by cinematic gods, all right? But like just it's in the little things. Like it makes you realize how hard it is to make something as good as the original trilogy and like
Yeah.
how hard that
Making
must have
something's
been
hard.
and like
Yeah.
how much they like had to probably go against so much convention because like there's so many moments in the show
Mhm.
that feel very cliche and like, just not as polished as like the original trilogy, like little things, right? Like after the battle when they're sitting around having mugs and stuff, it's just very on the nose and very cliche. Very, you've seen it before. You've seen this exact scene so many times. But the one thing you can always get though, like what is some of the best moments in the original trilogy? Like Gandalf and Eomer showing up at Helm's Deep, right? Like when you think
Right.
there's doom, there's no hope. What happens? A sick reveal, a fucking like
Mhm.
victory, like the light coming in, let's go, good guys winning. Okay, Return of the King, right? There's a montage of the Gondorians getting their asses kicked for like 5 minutes. Like, there's
Right.
not a single Gondorian soldier that gets a kill for like 5 minutes. Gandalf, the only one, like slapping people with his staff, doing any kind of work. And then
Right.
what happens? You hear those horns blowing. And it's the
Mhm.
fucking Ride of the Rohirrim, the most
Which
epic.
I got a little bit of a sense of when Adar his ears perk up when he hears the stampering in the background. I was like,
Well, right.
"Oh, they coming, bro."
And like maybe they didn't do horns or anything because they weren't trying to match up. But I'm like, for
Right,
me,
right.
it just did not hit when like they just showed them riding into town from the two different sides, I guess.
I thought parts of it worked. I thought I thought it was creatively interesting because we knew they were already coming because of the earlier shot
Hmm.
of them stampering. So I was like, that's I feel like that should have been when they come into the town.
Yes.
Like, don't give it
Yes.
away and
Exactly.
then have the big reveal again later.
Exactly.
Combine those 2 because I already know they're coming. I thought it was still cool, but it was interesting editing choice.
Right. And it also didn't have like any music. There was no like
Yeah.
good music hit. Like it was very like casual of them charging into the town to like save the
I think
day.
that also comes down to, like, I don't there's not a theme so far, in the music yet, and that's, I think, an issue. That's there's not, like, a theme that we know
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this, and I think that's still kind of an issue. It's good, like, on paper-wise, it's good music, but it's something's missing a little bit still for me.
Exactly. But I just thought it was so goofy how like they did it. Cause like this is the one thing you can do that's gonna make everybody love it, is, like, just have a really cool and they were doing a good job, like, these civilians were fucked, like, this village was
Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
screwed, and, like, the doom aspect is high, so, like, why not have that moment? Like, why not engineer that moment or write that moment to be this huge, like, lift of hope of, like, "Oh, look, the Numenorians
Right.
arrive," like, and it's like, they saved the
I
day.
wonder if it is a thing where they're like, how close can we get to those movies without it seeming like we're trying to copy them? Because then people will directly compare it to those things. You know what
Right,
I mean?
right, right,
If
and
we
maybe
make
that's why
it
they
just
didn't.
different enough, maybe there won't be the comparisons. Maybe
Right.
is what they're thinking. I don't know. Because like honestly, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to those things. Like
Yeah,
I
you're right.
don't envy them creatively trying to think of of new shit. Because I think once they actually got there and you saw the fighting, I thought that stuff was good. That Galadriel backbend when she flips under upside down on the horse was
Yo, that
amazing.
was so funny. She did it like 3 times. She's just like doing
She
yoga on her
did.
horse the whole battle.
Yeah, the
Like,
second time I was like, "All right, we saw the first one. You don't need to do it again and again." The first one was dope. That was cool, but
yeah.
the rest I'm like, "Okay."
It's like, "Oh, look, that's the commander of the Northern Army." She's like planking on a horse, like planking backwards, planking forwards,
That one
planking
that one
sideways. Like
that one was a little goofy. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, like, I thought the action was cool, but like again, like I just think there's some cliche moments they threw in there, like Isildur coming because Elendil's getting pulled down by like 5 orcs, and Isildur has to come
Mhm.
and save his father. Like cliche, like the other guy saving the friend, cliche. Like,
Although they subvert that cliche because it's not Isildur who saves him, it's Halbrand. So that's I thought
true,
some of that
yeah,
stuff was because I thought Isildur was going for his friends, which his one friend, Antamo, is so lucky to be alive. Or I was
true.
like, "There's no way. I can't believe they all survived. I just can't believe
I
it."
like how he was just holding the sword up, just like blocking that orc, just like
Yeah.
this is a good defensive strategy, right?
I like how at the end he was like, "I'm gonna stay here with the villagers and help out." I was like, "You should, because you're gonna die if you don't. You should stay behind. You absolutely should stay behind."
I mean, hey man, that guy is probably the most Hobbit-like character other than the actual hobbits right now, because he's just like, listen, man, warfare sucks. Like, I don't.
He's all about the vibes, that guy.
Yeah,
He's
this
just
was
trying to
this was
chill.
terrible. Yeah, that was a horrible thing.
Yeah. But I thought like, that chain clothesline move the horse
Oh,
that the
that was
cavalry used in the first
sick.
one, that was cool. I was like, "That was pretty sick." That
Yeah,
was
they
a
just
sick
came in
move.
there with a
Yeah.
dang chain, just knocked them all down. And then,
Yeah.
like, how was it a
So
battle after that? Like, bro, just stomp over them. Like, how was it?
I mean, yeah, basically they were like it was fucked. Like the battle was over in minutes after that.
Yeah, I think they did they did, like they took away their advantage of having cavalry by, like, slowing down and stopping and just, like, kinda, like, being on horseback, I guess,
Right.
because they were kinda,
I
like,
mean, I
standing
guess
around. I
the
don't know.
the difference is like they're trying not to also sample the good people that are amongst the crowd. Maybe
Right, right.
it's not like the other cavalry charges where they know they're just going into a horde of enemies. So it's
Mhm.
like we don't need to worry about anyone in this situation. So
Yeah.
I could see that. And also, it's a village. It's weirdly narrowy streets type of thing. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Also, it was definitely daytime, and them orcs cannot be in the sunlight,
they're wearing hoods.
I guess.
Again, it happened in minutes, I would imagine. So the battle ended very quickly, and then they hid them in that shed
True.
later on.
Yeah, they hid them kind of under it was like an overhang,
God,
like, they're not even
yeah.
fully inside, like
They didn't want them to be that comfortable. They
like,
wanted them to
the
they wanted to sting a little bit.
yeah, they wanted you to sting a little bit. The ones on the edges are just they're dead. The ones on the edges
Yeah.
are dead. Oh, that's
Uh,
funny.
but yeah, so I it was kinda cool seeing, like, characters like Arondir and Galadriel finally meet, and Arondir
Yeah.
immediately knows who she is, like,
Mhm.
yeah, so it was kinda see these storylines finally come together. I thought that was cool, and then, that's when, Galadriel gives chase to Adar, and then
Mhm.
Halbrand gives chase to Galadriel, which I don't know how the hell Halbrand got around and looped like, I thought they were going one direction, so, I don't know what that was about, but
Yeah.
okay.
And she was going so fast on that horse, and then it, like, cuts to Halbrand, and his horse is like, her horse is going, "Guduk, guduk, 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 guduk," and then his horse is going, "Clop, clop, clop, clop," like,
Yeah.
"I'll get there eventually."
Eventually. I did like how she talked to her horse, very much
Mhm.
like Arwen does in
Arwen
Fellowship. I
style.
thought that
Yeah.
yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that's
Dude,
cool.
we'll have to get to we'll get into this in prediction section towards the end, but there was a brief moment where I thought maybe our boy Halbrand was gonna take out Galadriel, not Adar. I'll just
Ooh.
say that. We'll continue that. We'll get to that in
Ooh.
a second. We'll get
Ooh.
to that in just a second.
Yeah.
Um, so they capture Adar. Halbrand's nearly about to kill him. Galadriel stops him. That's gonna
Mhm.
come into play again later with the reverse. So, yeah, they capture him. So
Mhm.
now they've got him. They didn't think once to look in that cloth?
Bro,
Like,
nobody
not
did?
once? Not a
Ugh.
single person
And
looked in
also
there.
and also, how the fuck is this old ass white dude gonna make it through all these Numenorians? He's like, as the Numenorians are right there, he's like, "Hey, I need you to do something." Bro, he ain't making it like he's not gonna make it to the top of that. Also, the watchtower just got destroyed. What? But I don't know. But either way, like I thought
Uh,
that like he should have been able to get him out of there before the Numenorians got there. Maybe he did, and I'm just misremembering it because I just saw it. But like maybe Waldrake had like a little bit of time to get out. But I mean, it was clever by
right,
Adar, but it was
yeah.
also like, dude, how has nobody noticed this old ass dude like running away on foot? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, that was a bad. And also, like, okay, let's assume that it was the dagger, right? The hilt.
Uh-huh.
Nobody cares about it. Like Galadriel's just like, I don't need this trash. Here, you take it. And then Arondir's
Everyone
like,
just
you know
passed
what? Like, you just told me that this thing kind of makes you corrupted. Here you go. Like,
Right. Oh,
what?
I was like, what is this hot potato? What Galadriel, why would you not take that to the
Yes,
elves or to Numenor
yes,
or somewhere to keep it safe or something?
yes.
And then
Right.
Arondir, why are you giving it to Theo? You trust this child to make the right decision and give it to Numenor to throw into the sea? He's a child. No, fuck that. I don't want him to learn a lesson. I want to do the right
Oh
thing and
my
the smart
god.
thing right now.
Theo literally tells you to your face, like, yeah, when I had that, it made me feel kind of dark, but I felt powerful and good. He's like, damn, that's crazy. So here you go. Like, if you want to do that
Make
again,
the right choice, boy.
it's not like, you know what? It's like, you know what, Gollum? Just take the ring. Like, here,
Right.
you want it so bad, just have it.
Gollum, do the right thing. We know you
Yeah,
will.
do the right thing. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, that
what?
shit was kind of wild to me. And again, just the fact that nobody at one point dared to open it. I was like, for real? Like that was a little bit of that's kind of dumb, but
That
it
was dumb.
led to one of the most amazing cliffhanger endings of an episode. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And just like 'Cause I didn't see this coming at all, and
Mhm.
so I don't know who if anyone did. You were saying how,
Yeah.
you had heard about it.
Yeah, shout out to Nerd of the Ring. He called this that he predicted it that that the sword was going to be something to set off Mount Doom, and sure enough, somehow through anti-science, I feel like because I feel like cold water would just make lava like
Yeah, I don't know how it
make
causes
harder.
the biggest explosion on Middle Earth.
Yeah, I don't think that's how science works. I don't think water on lava makes lava explode more, but I don't know.
Yeah, I
I'm not
don't
a
know.
scientist, but I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. But yeah, it definitely made Mount Doom. So like, and it is kind of cool that the tunnels underneath the village weren't actually for like to tunnel and find the hilt.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, it's
thought that
kind
was a
of
cool
partially that,
twist.
but
But
really it
yeah,
was to get the water down. Maybe the water's like some kind of magical water, and you know,
right, I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Either way, the fact that and the idea, which I'm assuming is this is the beginning of how Mordor
Hmm.
is forever in darkness.
Right, right, because it's just
This
covered with volcanic
eruption,
ash.
yeah, this gigantic Pompeii-like eruption
Hmm.
just fucks up this entire region.
Yeah.
And, that reveal to me well, for one thing, cool to see Mount Doom. That was pretty dope.
Hmm.
Seeing grass on Mount Doom
Yeah.
was weird as
Wrong.
hell.
Just very wrong. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was the crazy ending. And then Galadriel just sits there and eats a volcanic eruption. Like,
She's like, "I failed, dude. I completely failed."
yeah, I guess
And fuck
so.
it.
But it's like, oh man, that was funny. And I love how I love how Muriel's like, take shelter. It's like, there's meteors coming everywhere, bro. Like,
Right,
what are you
just
talking
book
about?
it. Get on the horses and dip, man. Fuck
Yeah,
that.
get back on them horses. I love how, and then Isildur and Elendil are like, you see the election, the eruption's happening, and the horse is like freaking out, and he's like, "Hey, the horse isn't mad about his own injuries. He's worried about you." And the horse is like, "Bitch, I'm worried about this eruption that you guys are not seeing."
Right. Can y'all hurry up? I'm trying to get out of here.
And then Isildur's like, "Oh yeah, Dad, nice thought. Wait, where's my horse?" And it's just gone. Like he's
The
out of
horse
here.
is gone.
It's like, yes, I care so much
Tudor's
about my
running.
rider that I'm dipping and getting to safety immediately.
Right. The horse could sense that Isildur didn't have the common sense to run, so the
Yeah,
horse said, "Fuck it."
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that was amazing. Also we get a little glimpse. It looks like Adar did escape. He got out of the chains and
Hmm.
dipped out. Right before the very end.
Ugh.
Before that, we have a very interesting conversation between Galadriel and Adar,
Hmm.
which I will have to give you props. You called it, where Sauron was trying to get into the unseen worlds at
Hmm.
that fortress, and he seemingly. It seems like this dagger, this mystical sword dagger, has many different purposes because the way he was talking seemed like that was what Sauron was missing to in those experiments up north. At
Hmm.
least that's what I thought, but I'm not sure. But then also the dagger also works in this tower to unleash the flood. So I guess this dagger can be used in many different ways. Hey, listeners, quick little keep it secret, keep it safe. Spoilers happening right now. Check time and codes again. Here we go.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he said that Sauron couldn't quite figure out what he was missing. So maybe that's something that I think maybe what that'll be is that might be Sauron's motivation to manipulate the elves to forge the rings of power. Because
Hmm,
because his whole thing was he
maybe.
was trying to, so Adar just said that he was trying to heal the world not by like healing the world itself, but healing it by, well, healing it, quote unquote, aka making everybody a Morgoth worshiper.
Yeah.
But his way of healing the world was going to be controlling people, right? And so that's, I think in the lore, I think that's like why he wanted, spoiler alert, but like that's why he wanted to, make the rings of power. And they leave it kind of vague of like what that actually did other than the rings of men, right? And like I guess the
Right.
elves kind of maintain control of theirs. But like, Um, so I think what the show might do with that is say like he couldn't figure it out how to do it through dark means. He needs some elven, magic.
Elven power as well. Yeah.
Yeah, the elven power. And he needs Celebrimbor to kind of bridge that gap of whatever he was missing. And that so, I don't know.
Or maybe Mithril is what he's missing.
Yeah. I don't know. And I mean, I honestly think that this whole the tree, now I'm starting to think that the tree like showing decay is also Sauron. Because he could, if he's in his fair form, he could be in
Well, it has
Linden
to be.
as an
Yeah, it's
elf,
gotta be.
and he could have infected the tree with something to make them think that they're gonna die, to make them go get the
Make them
mithril
all
from the
paranoid and
dwarves.
shit.
Like, I don't know, I think Sauron's already been at play, and I think we'll find out, in later seasons that he's manipulated a lot of this,
Right, right.
but I just think the whole mithril thing is not what we think it is, not yet.
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so do you believe Adar when he says he killed Sauron?
No,
Obviously not. But do
no.
you believe that he's against Sauron?
Well, maybe I mean, that might be something worth, thinking about because, like, not all this like, if he is a true one of the earliest elves corrupted by, Morgoth,
Morgoth.
I mean, not all of Sauron's servants like each other, right?
Right. I feel like it's very dark the dark side of Star Wars where they just kind of constantly try to kill each
It could
other.
yeah, I mean, it could be, because he didn't like that, and now it makes more sense why he didn't like the comparison earlier on.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah, I
But
don't
then
know.
that to me is interesting because at first I believed him until the volcano erupted and I was like, "Wait, so that would be helping Sauron's plan." So
Yeah.
maybe he was lying, so I don't know. I
He
genuinely don't
might
know,
be
yeah.
lying, but I think if he actually thinks he did kill Sauron, then that was just an illusion created by Sauron.
Right, right.
Because, like, I don't know, yeah, we don't know what that story is yet, but I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe they'll do like an anti-hero thing with him and make him, you know,
Maybe.
side with them against Sauron later on somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. I thought, "Damn, Galadriel, that was cold as shit," when she tells him, "The last thing I'll say to you before I kill you is I all of your offspring are dead, and then I'll kill
Oof.
you." I was like, "That was cold as shit, Galadriel."
Yeah. Also, like, I
Damn.
don't I don't get why everybody's like the whole theme for Galadriel this season is like, Galadriel, you need to calm down. Like, you're being real evil right now. Like, and she's like, I'm
Right.
trying to wipe out the evil. Like, the orcs are the evil people.
Yeah, it is everyone, like, even Adar's been like, "Oh, so it looks like you're a disciple," or whatever, he said, like, "You're the darkness as well," or something.
And it's like Galadriel's just taking crazy pills over here. She's like, I'm literally trying to eradicate all the orcs, and I was just vindicated by, destroying an orc army
Yeah.
that Gilgalad didn't even believe existed. It's like, hey, Galadriel, you need to calm down. Like, you're bringing the darkness with you. It's like, or maybe the orcs are the ones that bringing the darkness with them, and I'm
You know,
fucking
the
right.
actual monsters over there.
Yeah, like I'd be pissed too if I was Galadriel. Like, man, like shut up, everybody.
Yeah. And then one other thing before we get into prediction, spoilers. Halbrand accepts that he's king of the Southlands, which
For all of 5 minutes.
for all of 4 seconds.
Yeah. Woo! I'll hail the
Oh,
king
yeah.
of the Southlands. Boom! What was that?
There are no more Southlands.
Hey, at least now though, maybe he can go home. Though, I mean, well, yeah, I guess we're about to talk about it, but
Yeah, we'll get into it real quick.
maybe like at least now he could go back to Numenor and be like, well, not a king of anything anymore, so I can just go home.
Right. I don't wanna be king of the ashes. No, thanks.
Yeah.
Alright, actually, one last thing before we get in there. I did think it was, interesting, when, Galadriel was talking to Adar about him being one of the first people corrupted and turned by Morgoth. She calls him, the Moriondor,
Hmm.
which you take out 3 letters from that word, spells Mordor. So,
Ooh,
pretty on the nose right there.
very on the nose. I wonder if that's a direct,
Uh,
quote from like a direct translation. I'm sure it
maybe.
is.
Yeah, the Sons of the Dark, they're the first orcs, yeah,
Hmm.
maybe.
I mean, and like Tolkien did have a thing with dark elves. I just don't know if they were called, the Uruks, but an Uruk, I
Uh,
guess, because when Saruman makes Uruk-hai, they can travel in sunlight. So that's a big thing, and he definitely could
right.
travel in sunlight too. So maybe the earlier versions of orcs were more elf-like. I mean, I kind of like that as a twist.
Yeah. Right, yeah, 'cause when Adar's talking about how he is an Uruk as well, I was like, "Oh, I didn't know they could look like that." So that's kinda interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, it is kind of interesting.
yeah.
And it
So
would
it
make sense because not like I guess the story is that they were taken, like orcs were elves that were taken and corrupted by dark
right,
magic and stuff, and maybe like that would happen at varying levels, I guess. So
yeah. Alright, listeners, we are near the end of our episode, so we're gonna dive into our keep it secret, keep it safe, little predictions and spoilers, so be aware of that. Uh, let's talk about Halbrand real quick,
yeah,
'cause, man, I'm leaning towards maybe he's Sauron, but I'm wavering. I don't even know, though, because again, like, when that moment happened, I thought there's a chance he takes out Galadriel, and he didn't. I was like, "Okay." But then the moment he's about to kill Adar and he says to him, "Do you remember me?" And Adar says, "No." In my head, I was like, Adar wouldn't
Ooh.
remember what you look like because you don't look like Sauron right now. So I was like, maybe? I don't
So
know.
maybe Halbrand was mad because he thought he killed Halbrand when he was Sauron.
Right. Either that or he's covering it up, staying in disguise, or and he doesn't want Adar to talk about the big plan or anything like that. Or
True.
I don't know. But there was a moment there I was like, oh fuck, is what's going on here? I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it would make sense because I don't know, man. Like I feel like the thing of Halbrand being a prisoner on Numenor, like that was a thing in the book about like Sauron gets
Right.
taken back to Numenor and is held prisoner by Pharazôn, and then he becomes his advisor. So like
Uh-huh.
if Halbrand ends up going back to Numenor
It
and
would
like
make
kind of getting
sense.
tight with Pharazôn, then I
It would
think
make a
that's
lot of sense.
very much Sauron-y kind of vibes. But I don't know. Either way, he's definitely not the Witch King. I think at this point it's safe to say.
Right, yeah. I just like the idea that, at one point, Galadriel and Sauron almost fucked.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be wild. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's got to be. I don't know because we still don't quite know his story, right? Because like,
Right.
Adar was saying to him like, "Oh, you lost a wife, you lost a son," and he didn't quite say that, but we still don't know how he knew Adar. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe he is Sauron. That would be
It
a
would be
really really good
interesting.
twist.
It would be a very like, if they're trying to not make it seem like traditional fair form with the beautiful
Hmm.
blondish golden hair, this is a way to do it,
Hmm.
it's interesting, so
I just think he should be an elf, but maybe he can shapeshift or something too. But I don't know. That would be a really good twist.
what a better way to infiltrate the kingdom of men than as a man, though.
Right. Right.
You wouldn't stick out as much, so, yeah.
I wonder how he would have done all this with Adar, or maybe he didn't.
Right.
Maybe like that could be a point that maybe he wasn't connected to Adar at all, and now this is actually just going to work out for him, pretty well.
Either that or, like, we knew he was fleeing the Southlands, that's his story, so it could be a he left the Southlands and told Adar the plan, and then dipped out going, like, "I'm gonna go to Numenor," or something, I don't know.
Right?
And it was just happenstance that he ran into Galadriel, and he was just like, "Oh, this could work to my advantage." I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's
I
it's
don't know.
interesting.
I mean, it doesn't matter because, as we said last week, Galadriel's Sauron, so it doesn't really
Exactly.
matter.
That's why I was trying to connect the dots here. Of like, okay, how is Galadriel Sauron this week? And I really got nothing. I got nothing. I mean, it's just a
Yeah.
really, really good cover up job. And she's sitting there just staring
That's why
out.
she's so content with her job
Yeah.
well done when the
Yeah.
volcanoes
It's not despair
explode.
she's feeling. It's just that, yes, this is my master plan and I can just eat this magma that's coming straight from my face.
Right.
So,
Oh, man, that's funny.
yeah,
But, yeah, overall, pretty solid episode, man.
definitely one of the best of the season. I still like, I'm souring on some things on the show because souring, not sour.
You're s s
Okay, I'm tired.
Sauroning?
Yeah. But, like, I feel like I was thinking about it a lot this week and like I still like the show. And I think that this was, up there. I just think that you're starting to see some cliches and stuff like that because it's in show format, so like budget and stuff like that,
Right, right.
and then B just because it's really really hard to like even The Hobbit, didn't match up to the originals. It was made by the original people and it didn't match up, but like
Mhm.
it's just really hard to get to that high level of like the originals. So I don't know. I just
Yeah.
think like there's certain cliches and stuff that are just kind of irritating me and taking me out of it, but
Mm.
I still like it.
Yeah. I think my biggest not it's not even really an issue, it's mostly an issue with TV today's era because we're so internet savvy
Hmm.
as opposed to then. I'm not and I complained about this with, like, some of the Marvel shows as well. I'm kinda not crazy about the whole, uh, mystery box, like, what's the big mystery this whole season, which this show
Yes,
is doing a
yes.
lot of. Like, I
Right.
complained about that with WandaVision and Loki and stuff because I
Hmm.
was like, "I'm so sick of all of this." Like, that's why I think I like stuff like Hawkeye and Falcon and the Winter Soldier because
Hmm.
they were just straightforward narratives. And I
Right.
get and I think it's just like, all shows do that nowadays, I feel like,
Yes, yes.
and I think it's because, like, people enjoy those things, they like the theorizing, they we're theorizing on here, we're literally doing it, but it's just like,
Right.
there are times where I'm just like, like the Lord of the Rings, there's no mystery to Lord of the Rings, you know?
Exactly,
There's no
like
mystery to The
or I
Hobbit,
mean,
really.
and the mystery that there is, like, in the stuff that's undefined, right? Like, um but you're right, like, it feels very it feels very much like everything has to fit a formula, right? But, like, like, things that are mysteries, like, in we were watching Fellowship, yesterday. We've been watching it like a miniseries, and,
Mhm.
like, when they go into Moria, that feels like an ancient place, you know what I mean? Like, it
Right, right.
feels like there's
Yeah.
stories there that and you don't really know what happened to Balin, you don't know how it fell apart until you get to the last chamber, in
Mhm.
Balin's tomb, and you don't really know how Mithril came to be, and that's okay. Like Tolkien, I don't think Tolkien ever defined where Mithril came from, and I don't think it needed to be
Right.
defined. And I'm hoping that story in the show is wrong. But like, like what, like just the way that the original kind of said, like, oh yeah, these ancient ruins, these ancient things have been here for thousands of years, and
Right.
from a long gone empire, you know, um,
Mhm.
and like, and that's just kind of like accepted, right? And I just feel like the originals did such a good job at that. And this, it's like, it just feels like everything has to fit a formula and like,
And, like, that's why, like, I don't even fully blame this, I blame the time that we're in,
yeah,
because like, every
agreed.
show is doing that. Like, and there's another way they probably would've done the show that is just like the books, and the story beats are the exact same, but I think they even wanted to kinda, like, they wanted to take, I think, even the book readers on a bit of a ride as well. So,
Yeah,
but I don't fully blame them because that's kind of the era we're in, I'm just kind of annoyed by that era a little bit at
right. And it's
times.
like, don't make because like, yeah, you're right. Like this show, because of that, if you look back on it like 20, 30 years from now, it might be very like, it might be like, oh, that was like a trend they did back then of like,
Everything
setting
was a
up a
big question
mystery.
mark, and
Yeah, like
yeah, yeah,
having all these question marks between episodes to get people talking on Twitter, right? Like,
right. Who's the big character reveal this week, and yada, yada, yeah,
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 it's like your source material is so rich, just trust it, like just lean into it. That's what I think is so impressive about the originals is that they did that. Like
right.
they didn't try to check any Hollywood boxes. They're like, we're just going to make it in the soul of what it is. And I think that they're kind of doing that here because they're like basically looking over the shoulder of the originals to
Yeah.
but they're not doing it fully. So
Yeah. I
that's
think
my
they're
only
doing a
complaint.
decent enough job of trying to make this their own thing
Right?
while at the same time while trying to have some nods to it. So
Yeah.
yeah. I mean they it was an impossible bar to clear, and I don't
Yeah.
think they're failing at all. I'm really enjoying the show still. Like this, I was on my feet towards halfway through this episode when Numenor showed up and everything, and then the big Mount Doom eruption. Like I was elated by all that. So yeah.
hmm Yeah. It was definitely a hell of an ending, and then they just rolled the credits. Like, yeah, Galadriel just died. So
End of show.
I was like waiting for it. Like, is it another Palantir vision or something? And like this whole episode was like a mind
Right.
fuck. It's like,
It's like,
no,
nope.
Galadriel just literally died. Like, it's real.
Oh,
So
man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week, dude. This is gonna be good.
yeah,
Just seeing the
definitely,
aftermath
definitely.
and who survived, because I feel like it's not gonna be many.
Yeah, it's gonna be 5 people.
Yeah. Alright. I think that about does it, listeners.
Mhm.
You can email us at thefortressof@gmail.com, fortress.four. Feel free to email us any questions or feedback or recommendations or any other shows or anything you want us to do this kind of thing with. Also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and the YouTube channel at The Fortress of. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your grandma, tell your cat. Rate and review us, preferably 5 stars. Tell your friends, tell everyone. Thank yous. Thank you to Jackie for helping edit the podcast every week. Thank you, Brian, for the art, Alex for the music, Devin. Thank you for being here so far every week. It's been a lot of fun going through this show and just figuring out what the hell is going on, man.
Yeah. It's crazy that there's only 2 left.
I know, I know. I'm excited because like this could have been the end of a season. So I'm excited what
Oh
the hell they're gonna
god.
do with the actual end of the season. That would have been a hell.
That would've been wild.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kinda wish it was. Now that we mentioned that, man, I kinda wish it was.
That
Just
would've
like a
been
big old
nuts.
middle finger, like, in the credits, like, "Yep, wait till next year."
Wait a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would've been fucking nuts. Oh god. But, all right. You can find Brian on Instagram at ITZ_ by the way. Alex at Peterson Films. Devin, you can find him running for his life next to Isildur's
Yep,
horse.
yep. I'm not sticking around for a volcanic explosion or hiding in a thatched roof house when there's volcanic meteors.
Right.
I'm fucking running. Taking
Just
my
a bigger
chances.
ball of fire waiting to happen.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Put a code on us code out there, and happy holidays. And Devin, I think our sign off, we should just chant Udun over and over again. Cause
Oh,
the orcs, they won this episode. So
right.
let's
Or
go.
Nampat. Udûn.
Udun.
Udûn.
Udun.
Udûn.
Udun.
Udûn.
All right. Bye everyone.